Hello and welcome to the Western Bulldogs podcast, Barclay Street. That's hashtag Barclay Street for all you groovers out there. As is always the way on Barclay Street, it's my great pleasure to welcome my co-host slash sidekick slash understudy, the very handsome, the boringly handsome Easton. Welcome to Barclay Street. How are you, my man?
I'm good, Robbo. Thanks for having me, mate. And whereabouts are you at the moment?
I'm
sunny out there.
Yeah, I've got it's a week holiday from radio duty, so I've escaped down to South Gippsland, secret little place down here,
Very nice.
which has been nice. Yeah, and it's a nice little winter getaway. Yeah, bit of fishing.
Did I see photos of you swimming in the water in winter?
Yeah, like just out of shot was my full wetsuit. Like, I don't think I quite qualified.
Question, mate. Why? What are you doing in the cold?
It's part sort of family bonding, part sort of, I think, post-traumatic football stress disorder. You've got to punish yourself to enjoy.
It's been a long time between 6 a.m. beach sessions in July, so I didn't think you'd miss those, but.
But I did, if I can just indulge just ever so slightly, because I packed the fishing rods. Fishing's my new obsession. But I haven't really caught any since I was down here at Christmas time, and I've tried the bay at Port Melbourne, the Yarra River, but I still love it.
You've been going for 6 months.
Yep,
nothing.
And haven't caught anything worth taking home. Like caught undersized little things.
Yeah.
And I was just starting to lose a bit of faith, but my father-in-law, they came over yesterday, my mother-in-law and father-in-law. He's a fisherman. We went to this Tarwin River to go there, a couple of hours, nothing. Like starting to get a bit flat. We took the kids down for a swim just at the surf beach, and I thought, you know what, I'm taking a fishing rod. So I walked into chest deep water with my wetsuit, threw it out the back, and thinking, father-in-law's laughing at me, wife's laughing at me, kids are a bit confused. Then all of a sudden, bang!
So straight away.
Like, I had to wait a couple of minutes, but I'm sort of reeling it in as these waves are like crashing on top of me. So it was like fishing. It was like waiting under the high ball. It was, and then pulled in a 34 centimetre flatty. Anyway, I ran into the beach like chariots of fire.
I've done it.
That's my little fishing story. How was the comeback game in the VFL?
It was great to be back out there, mate. It really was. And it was a funny old day down there. It was so wet and slippery. It was strange old conditions, but the Geelong VFL jumped us at the start. But after that, we got it looking how we wanted to, and it was a really good day for the Scray down there. And it was great to feel good back out there, mate. And just happy to be fit and healthy.
How was it? You got through okay? Laverne and Shirley were no probs?
Laverne and Shirley, they played ball. They behaved. Didn't get any messages from them throughout the game. So that was a big positive.
My Twitter account was very quiet after your game, so that sort of tells the story. If Laverne and Shirley play up, the people on the Twitter sphere are very quick to keep me updated. But that's awesome, mate. You got through and. Great. Oh, that's really good. Much else?
Very happy.
To report from the game itself down there in the VFL?
No, it was great to see Ed Richards come back and play his first game in about I think it was probably 8 or 10 weeks, and he was fantastic. Off the halfback flank, he played with speed and it looked like he hadn't missed a beat in 2 months. So that was impressive. Louis played a solid game, and Sonny Garcia was really strong in the midfield as well. And should mention that Big Diesel kicked his 6 goals. He was a real deadeye all day and took his opportunities, and he was great.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Diesel, I didn't know that's his name.
Jack Diesel.
Okay, makes sense. What did you make of the AFL game? The nail biter. I almost didn't want to ask you.
You never want to be on the end of that. And like, funnily enough, we've had a couple of those with Geelong recently. I think it was only 2 or 3 years ago where they had a shot to win at Marvel after the siren and they missed and we won. Harry Taylor, and he missed and we got to win that one. But yeah, absolute dagger.
Were you playing when Jono had a shot after the siren?
I remember they actually played the replay of that before the game.
Yeah, it was on the telly.
Yeah, there's been so many close ones. And yeah, Jono threw his mouth guard about 7 metres deep into the turf after he missed that one. But yeah, it was pretty heartbreaking, mate. But there was a lot of the boys, did really well and looked the way we wanted to. So but a challenging week this week. Obviously, back over in quarantine in Perth. So hopefully they can reset the ship this week.
Where were you? Did you watch the game in the stands? Where were you
the VFL boys, we sat in the stands for probably, I think most of us sat there for the first half. And then fatigue got the better of me and I went home, mate, and watched the last quarter from home. So just watching on TV. But funny enough, there was only 7,000 odd there, but the atmosphere was great.
I was about to ask you, was it because it seemed like there was the 7,000 were in good voice. Was it a different kind of experience with that kind of
it didn't seem to be too much of a factor, to be honest. Like with the 7,000 there, they were loud enough that you kind of get that sense almost like it's a country grand final. You know, that kind of, it's still really loud and there's still a lot of passion and there's still, obviously our supporters were outnumbered, but they were screaming and doing a great job bringing that energy. So honestly didn't really notice it too much after obviously looking around at the stands and you see how empty either end was because they completely shut it off. But aside from that, it was great.
Yeah. Gee, it looks slippery out there. When the boys, I mean, you obviously played in the lead-up game, but when the game started, I haven't seen blokes so careful with their feet. Yeah, it must have been soggy out there.
So it wasn't necessarily as soggy, but particularly in both 50s, from about the goal square out to the 50, in the middle of the 50 there, the grass was really sparse, so there wasn't any of that root system. So it was just really skittish across the top. So you could see guys taking extra steps to try and turn because you actually couldn't accelerate out of a turn because you were just going to go straight over.
I picked up on that straight away. I was like, that must be an ice rink out there because they're treading so carefully, like they're looking out for tripwires.
It was, and you could have the right, even with the long stops on and the right set of boots, it was, it didn't make too much of a difference. So, that was a real interesting thing to contend with.
Where were you? Did you have a good line of the Gary Rowan kick? Were you right behind?
I was watching on TV. I was home by then.
Sorry, you were home on TV.
But when it came off the boot, I thought it was going through the points for sure. And then it just even worse.
It was a real kick to the plums. That one.
It was.
Gary Rowan.
Come on, man.
Gary Rowan. Oh, God. Well, I think we might see him down the road, I reckon, the Cats. So
yeah, makes sense.
So what's it like this week? So it's the split again. Half the group are in Perth, half the group are in Melbourne. How are you finding that? You holding up all right?
Yeah, holding up all right. It's always a challenge, and the club did everything they could to make sure that we didn't split, and we went through a number of different iterations of what that week was going to look like. Originally, we were all going to Sydney. Family were going to be able to come for the first part of that because that was going to be our 3-day bye that we were still waiting to have, and so it started looking pretty good. And then obviously things changed in New South Wales, and we've ended up having to separate, and there's no way that we could get around that. So the guys are in quarantine over at the hotel in Perth over there, under very very strict restrictions there, and the small skeleton crew back here working and getting things done back here.
Well, we've got a very special guest not too far away who will be over there in the eye of the quarantine hurricane, if that is an actual thing. Can't wait to talk to him in a few moments. But give us a thought on, so Ryan Gardner re-signed, which is a great result for Ryan and the club.
Yeah, that's huge for Guards and the club. It's a great story, Guards, obviously playing in the VFL and, being picked up in that, very first mid-season draft. And obviously he came in and played as a forward back then. But obviously, he's super long and super athletic and strong, and really fast. So he's really finding a spot down back and doing well. So it was great to see him sign on for a couple of years. So it's great news.
When you say he's super long, does that mean he's tall? Is that?
No, not like, you can be tall, but you can have short arms. He's tall and has long arms. You're looking at me like I'm making stuff up, mate. Come on.
I've just never heard someone describe it as
long. When you're trying to spoil, mate, that extra little bit makes a difference.
Because you're not that tall. I think people would be surprised at how tall you are. But are you telling me that you're not that tall but long?
No, I'm average. So for my size, I've got my arms in proportion. Unfortunately, I would love for them to be out of proportion and be gangly and be able to reach a bit.
How tall are you?
6'1", 185.
Yeah, okay.
Exact same height as you, aren't I?
No, that's not true. I'm a bit taller.
No, don't you do me like that. Don't you do me like that.
I am. I'm 186 and a half.
Oh, go on, get.
May as well be a foot, centimetre and a half.
That doesn't say a lot, but that says enough in itself. If you're taller than me, God. Anyway.
Let's keep it nice, Easton. Mate, let's have a little break, and then we'll come back with our very special guest, because I can't wait to talk to Toby McLean, who's he's had a rough 12 months with that knee and that shoulder. But I want to talk to him about that. But also, I've got a bone to pick with him, a very personal, a very hurtful bone to pick with our next guest, Toby McLean.
Can't wait.
Welcome back to the Western Bulldogs podcast, Barclay Street, hashtag Barclay Street. Toby, our next guest, he'd be all over the hashtags and the socials because he's a young hipster. It is a great pleasure to usually it is a great pleasure for me to welcome current players onto the podcast, but it's a bit different this week, got to be honest. Cards on the table. Easton, you're just going to have to sit back for a minute. But,
this is an aggressive start, Bob. Not so much as a welcome.
No, the welcome might have to come after an apology is made. I had a brief, ill-advised football comeback a couple of months ago in the South Gippsland area and for Inverloch. And at three-quarter time, my opponent turns to me and says, "Your podcast is shit." And I'll be honest,
thanks for listening.
I was usually pretty quick with the retort on the footy field, the old acidic tongue. I was stunned, speechless, trying to make sense of it. And then a minute later, same bloke says, "That's from Toby." Like, I only know one Toby in my life, and that is you, Toby McLean. Please explain.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys. No, well, I know who you're talking about. He come up to me and he said that you're playing each other that week, and he's like, "Have you got anything for me?" I was like, "Oh, not really. Bob's a great guy. He hasn't got much bad to say about him." But I was like, "Oh, if you really want to rock him, I think you should get into him about his podcast." And I didn't think he'd actually do it. He did it. It seemed to have got pretty deep. So,
well done.
It's a hard thing to do. The hard thing to do is put you off your game, and it sounds like he did a great job. But I am sorry. I didn't mean it. I just thought if you want to chuck something at him, use that, and it'll probably work. because I know how much you love the Barclay Street podcast.
Thank you, Toby. Well, I got to say, begrudgingly, I love everything about it. I love the plan. I love the execution. I was absolutely stunned for a whole minute. The blokes that I was playing with, my new teammates, were just like, "Is this actually happening?"
And when did he say it? At 3/4 time or something?
Yeah.
Did he?
3/4 time, and the game was sort of in the balance, and it was silent. There was no noise, and we had to sit in this weird little place of abuse and silence for a couple of minutes. It was a very, very peculiar start to the last quarter. But anyway, he was a good fella. So quite a few of your mates played for Tooradin, is that right?
Yes. Yeah. So he's my girlfriend's sister's boyfriend, and then he's got a few mates who I know of as well. So they've moved just recently to play for Tooradin. So there's a few that I know down there.
Mate, you're over in Perth in the lockdown, quarantine, whatever you want to call it. How's it going? How's morale within the group? What's the experience been like?
Well, it's been pretty good. We've been here since Sunday now, and we haven't really. We see a lot of each other, as you'd expect, and there's been a few things organised. Like we've had trivia night the other night, which Jaden organised, which you'd be surprised about. It actually went pretty well.
The low expectations going in then, Toby.
And then he had a few special guests with Bont, Libber and Hunts all running their own sort of segment as well. So that was quite successful. I think the boys went out. We played cricket the other day. Hitting of tennis. The vibe's pretty good over here, even though we can't do much.
The funniest bit about what you said then of Jaden ran the trivia and it was actually pretty good. The use of actually is
important. Says the whole picture.
How do you go in sort of quarantine, Tabes? Are you someone that's okay with your own company? You can kind of navigate your way through it, or do you get a bit sketchy?
No, I'm pretty good. I'm a bit of a homebody anyway. I don't really leave my house back at home that much anyway, whereas the boys are sort of itching to get out and play golf, which we're not allowed to do. But there's sort of been a bit of not complaining, but just missing it, I guess. But I'm more than happy just to sit in my room and put Netflix on and do that sort of thing. And I'm pretty cruisy.
Did you take the PlayStation up, Tobes? You a gamer like a few of the boys there? I'm sure they're smashing that at the moment.
No, I'm not a PlayStationer. Is that what you say? I don't even know.
Well illustrated, mate.
Yeah, I'm no good at that sort of gaming. I'm more of a TV man. But Jack McRae, he brought his, and I don't think I saw him the other day for the whole day. He was just sitting in his room playing. So
that's classic, Jacko.
Yep.
Have you reopened the Hub Barbershop, mate? Is that back up and running this week?
No. So
did you take your clippers?
When I was packing my bag, I was like, "We're here for a week. I won't need to take them." And then we get here, and then I've had 5 or 6 people come up to me. "Tobe, did you bring your clippers?" I was like, "No, I didn't." Someone could have messaged me. Not one person messaged me saying, "Bring your clippers." So I thought they were unnecessary. So. A big mistake by me. Probably an opportunity missed there.
Absolutely.
Hey, Tobe, forgive my naivety. I'm only sort of vaguely aware of the haircuts, but do you take requests, or it's like if you get a haircut from Toby, you get a set cut. You get the Toby.
You can make a request, but you get the set.
I'm pretty good at giving what they ask for. It probably doesn't turn out as well as a professional haircut, but it's sort of just good enough, I reckon. Yeah.
Now tell us about the comeback. We all watched on with kind of awe and wonder, I suppose, on Friday night to see you come back and straight back into the fray after, I guess it's probably, how long would it be? 10 months?
Just under 10 months. Just under 10. So I was available to play at 9 months, and obviously COVID had other plans. So it was 3 weeks of just training with the boys there. As everyone would have been surprised as was I. Going straight back into the team, I wasn't complaining, that's for sure. But I sort of just a little bit more nervous than usual, probably playing in the VFL. But I was just happy to be back playing any sort of footy, no matter what it was. So it was just a little bonus that it was back in the AFL side.
How did you find out, Tobe? Was that with us out on the ground, or did you have an inkling? Did Bevo take you aside beforehand?
No, I didn't have an inkling. I think it was after training, one of the days during the week, and he told everyone. It was it was a bit surprising, but I was quite happy about it, so it was nice.
It was one of those great moments, Bobo, where we're at mid session. Was it? I think it might have been after the session, and Bevo brings everyone in on the track, and he makes the announcement that Toby's going to play, and it's just that pandemonium of all 40 of us jumping up and down and rubbing the rest of Terry's hair off his head, and just getting around him in such a big way. It was one of those great footy moments. I really enjoy that after such a long time.
My hat's off to you, Tobe. So you played just under 10 months. So you're saying you were available at 9 months. And for those that don't know, that is it always was. I'm not sure if it still is. Like 9 months is the absolute fastest return date for a sort of typical ACL reconstruction, which is unbelievable.
Yeah. They said to me at the start, when I just got my surgery, 9 to 12 months, and you won't be coming back any sooner than 9 months. So I sort of just put a plan in, just to work as hard as I can, because you don't want to be in rehab. It's sort of, you know what it's like, Bob, just not a place you want to be. So, I just wanted to be in rehab for as less time as possible, and I did anything to make that happen. So I progressed really well, and the rehab staff were really happy with how I was going, and they were more than happy to get me going at that 9 month stage. So I was happy.
Should be mentioned as well, Tobe. Sorry, Bobo. I was just going to say, it should be mentioned as well, like you've had a shoulder reconstruction on top of the knee as well. It's almost like the shoulder gets forgotten about because of how significant the knee is, but a shoulder's a 4 month injury to return from as well. So just to be able to recover from that and cope as well as you have and come back the way you have is just incredible, mate. So well done.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, it was hard because you do your knee and you can sort of focus on your upper body strength, and I couldn't even do that either. So, it definitely tested me at times.
Yeah, I found that I bulked up quite a bit.
Move on, next.
Still in a bit of a bulk phase. That's probably a podcast for another day about my abilities in the gym. Hey, Tobe, when you're out there, are you able to are you just playing in the moment? Are you able to sort of shut out all the the doubts around your body, or are there any, or are you just sort of playing on instinct?
There probably would have been, I reckon, if I come back that 3 weeks before. Since I was able to get that really good block of training in for those 3 weeks, I was pretty confident, and then I was able to play in the midfield as well, which means you're around the ball a lot. You don't have that much time to think, and you're playing a lot on instinct. So I was lucky in that aspect that I was around the ball a bit, and I didn't have too much thinking time.
You went down at one point, sort of in a bit of a contest and then in a bit of a crumpled mess, and you know how the TV camera sort of moves away, and Justine and I were watching. It was like, oh no, just that sort of heart in the mouth, like, oh no, I hope he hasn't hurt himself. And then it was like really lovely to see the replay where all that had happened was you just like got smashed in the face. Was that kind of a welcome back to football? Just a nice bit of sort of nose smeared across your face for a minute or so. Yeah,
it's funny. You sort of miss that happening to you. So that was just it was just another moment in footy that sort of hadn't happened to me for a long time, and I was just happy to be out there. So no matter what knock I got, as long as it wasn't knee related, I was fine.
Can maybe both of you just expand on that just a little bit? So being in rehab for months on end, and it is quite lonely. You even miss the moments of actual physical pain. Is that what you're telling me?
For sure. There's always that element of what's worse. Like, where would you rather be? As Toby said, I'd rather be much prefer to be out there playing AFL and get cop one across the chops and break a nose or something like that than be doing repeat 80-metre strides on a cold Saturday morning for the fourth month in a row. Yeah, for sure.
You support that, Toad?
Yeah, definitely. I think Nick Stone, our rehab man, sort of wanted me to get out of rehab because I just kept asking him to do contact with me, and he hated that. So I think
I'm pretty sure that was because of the tunes you were putting on the on the speaker, Toad.
Yeah, he wasn't a fan of my tunes.
The repeat Pink episodes were enough. We were done.
Nick Stone could write a book, actually. For those who don't know, Nick Stone is the head of rehab. So essentially any player that's in a long-term injury, he's their physical and mental welfare officer, psychologist, shoulder to cry on. He'd have plenty of good stories to tell, Stoney. He's a good man. Hey, Tobe. Yep, sorry. No, you go.
Especially about Libba. I think he's the one that tested him the most.
Well, it was Clay. It was Clay at the same time with Libba. A very combustible duo.
That was we like our duos on Barclay Street. Yeah. If you've got a nomination for the Clay Libba Rehab duo, Tango and Cash would be one that starts the ball rolling. But if you've got a better one, we've got a question from on Twitter, Tobes, and it's for you. Would love to know from a player's perspective after last Friday night's game if the crowd energy at all was felt on the ground. I was lucky enough to be one of the Dogs fans at the game and have never felt more involved in the game with the supporters as last Friday. What was it like?
Yeah, it actually felt there was a lot more people than I think the 7,000 that were there. And it definitely felt like they're all Cat supporters. But that's definitely a lot better than playing in front of no crowd at all. I think a lot of boys would rather that. So, that you could definitely feel their energy, and I think the Cats boys did well vibing off that when they were playing. So,
it was a hell of a game, a bit of a heartbreaker, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I've got another question here from Tash, Tobe. She's obviously expected that you were going to take your Clippers over to Perth because she's asked whose hair would you like to cut next. But you've let her down, mate. What's happened?
Nomination.
Sorry. Not only have I let the boys down, I've let her down as well. So I apologise for that. But I would have said Bailey Williams has got a good head of hair, nice and thick. I enjoy cutting his hair. Easy to see.
Very nice. Hey, Toja, should we put Toby through the stock 3 questions that we like on Barclay Street? I'm very excited. I'm very interested to hear what young Tobes has got for us. Do you want to run through them?
Can do. All right, Tobe. The movie that scared you the most as a kid. I have these visceral memories from when we've watched our first horror film. I know you're a rom-com man, but was there a horror film as a young man that's stuck with you?
Geez, I don't want to let you down here. I'm a big rom-com man, as you mentioned.
Which rom-com sort of
gave you the most?
rom-com gave you the most lols? Yeah, which one was the most satisfying? Which is your favourite? Let's tailor it for them.
Probably How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days with Kate Hudson.
Is that Jennifer Aniston and Matthew McConaughey? Is that one?
Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey.
Kate Hudson, sorry.
Yeah, that's the up there. Top 5.
It's top 5
all time. Top 5 all time films, or
top 5 rom-com.
Have you got any? Would you be able to rattle off a few other of your favourites, Tobes?
Now you tested me.
Kissing Booth 3, is that one?
Yeah, the Kissing Booth. Kissing Booth 1 is up there. I don't know. Have you watched Bob? Have you seen that? It's a good one. You probably put on your list of it.
I like a rom-com, but I haven't seen that one. No.
Yeah,
is Notting Hill in the conversation?
Notting Hill's okay with Hugh. Is that Hugh Grant? Isn't it? I probably wouldn't have a top 5. Yeah. Right. I won't name any more. That'll do.
We might have to put that out on Twitter to see if we can come up with the top 5 rom-coms of all time.
Now, moving on, Tobes, did you at any point take a break from the rom-com viewing and get a chance to watch The Last Dance on Netflix with the Big MJ documentary? Did you watch that?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Was there a character, like, take MJ out of it, was there someone that fascinated you the most, as a part of that documentary?
Yeah. So I'm not really a big basketball man. I don't watch it at all, and neither does my partner Laura. But we sat down and we actually really enjoyed it. Look forward to the episodes releasing every week. And one of my favourites was Scottie Pippen.
Oh, really? Scottie?
I don't know. I think, was there a bit where he cracked it? It was a bit where he cracked it in being able to be the big dog, and he wanted the winning shot and they didn't give it to him. Is that what happened? I sort of watched it along.
He sat on the bench and refused to go back out.
Yeah, refused to go back on. Yeah.
The ball went to Tony Kukoc.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Watched that a long time ago. So that's the bit that stood out for me. Just cracking it. I didn't mind that. As a bloke that gets paid the big bucks.
It's a bold move with the game on the line.
Yeah.
Quite controversial, I think, old Scotty.
Yeah, he probably didn't come off in the light that he wanted to out of that documentary, did he? Seemed pretty upset with how it was portrayed from his perspective.
His family background was fascinating. How tough an upbringing he had, and the health issues in the family. So he's I think he's got a good heart, Scotty. He just had a moment. We all have a moment, don't we?
That's very true.
Tobes, last question. Can I ask this one, Ethan?
This is the best because I think we both know the answer to this.
Yeah. So Archie Selleck, a favourite of Barclay Street. I mean, a favourite of anyone. Anyone who knows Archie Selleck, he's your favourite. Does he have a nickname for you, Tobes? Because he's got quite a collection of either brilliant or pox nicknames. What's he got for you?
Yeah, he does. As soon as I got to the club, it was Colgate. So obviously there's McLean's toothpaste, and he's sort of stuck with Colgate, and he's very happy to run with that one.
He's been calling him Colgate from day one. Every day you walk in, it's brilliant.
Yeah, the only one that calls me Colgate. The only one.
This makes me so happy. Hey, thanks for giving up some time. I mean, to be fair, you've got bugger all else going on. Clearly, you're just stuck in your hotel room. So it's sort of, the weight is sort of coming off it a little bit. I mean, you're contractually obligated to come on the show. You've got nothing else to do. You're pretty much given the bare minimum. Having said all that, we love having you on here. We're so proud of you for all the work you've put in to get back out on the field. Watching you last Friday night was really special for a lot of Bulldog fans, and for a couple of old dogs like Easton and I watching on proudly. We couldn't have been happier for you. So great to see you back out there, and can't wait to see you rip it apart in the back half of this year, starting this week as the Dogs mount a bit of a challenge for the top of the mountain. So thanks for coming on Barclay Street, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Is this a shit podcast or is this a good podcast?
Hey, it's one of the best. One of the best.
There we go. Here we go, guys. Toby MacLean endorsed it.
You heard it here first.
Thanks so much.
Quick enough. Thanks, boys.